Hello and welcome back to Thalric Plays Mordheim, City of the Damned. We are continuing to learn the game by doing tutorials. So far we have finished the combat basics and the combat tactics, so now it's time to take a look at the advanced combat tactics. So without further ado, let's just get to it.
Despite the violence of the comet's impact on Mordheim, the Temple of Sigmar remained mostly unscathed, and the valiant Sisters of Sigmar certainly had a protective influence in keeping the sacred grounds unspoiled. Once again, the Sisters are set to defend the temple's perimeter when a band of Skaven strikes swiftly. Learn new actions to defeat the Skaven and protect the sanctity of the temple.
Okay, so the scenario sounds interesting and looks like this time we will be playing the Sisters of Sigmar. And since I like their style so far, what I've seen in the last video looked really cool. I'm looking forward to playing them. And of course there is a list included here which shows us what we will learn. And the the mission has finished loading a lot quicker than the last time, so let's get started.
A new round has started.
Okay, so first is perception of danger. Mordheim is a city rife with danger, from ambushing enemies to deadly traps, which are an extension of the chaos that has spread through the city. Warriors can perform a perception action at the cost of 1 SP to highlight threats nearby, traps and enemies until the end of their turn. As the warrior moves, new threats in range will be highlighted. The warrior also gains 15% chance to resist triggered traps effects until next turn. Okay, so apparently there are traps and the like that we can discover with perception. So I'm assuming that we should use perception here. So let's do that. And it was a success, and there's a trap highlighted. So, and there's another one. So let's walk around it. And do we want to charge this Skaven? I think it might be better to just attack him. Let's try that for a change. But I'm not sure, but why not? Let's just walk into him. So we've got a 10% better chance at hitting him. I like that weapon, by the way. Looks like the Sisters of Sigmar could be my favorite faction so far. Look really cool, in my opinion. So let's attack again. Doesn't look like that that this weapon does very much damage, but I think it's not too bad. So let's use parry stance here. And the parry failed, unfortunately. And he's dodging. Okay. First, before we do anything else, let's take a look at the map. Okay, what happened? Okay, we'll figure that out in a moment. Character information panels. A multitude of effects called a buff or debuff can affect your warriors during combat and are listed in an information panel that can be reached by pushing B. You can also access the warrior's resistance information by pushing N, or access the warrior statistic and alternate weapon sets by pushing M. These windows can be hidden or displayed at will and cycled through by using left Alt. Information on selected enemies will also be displayed. Okay, so we need B for buffs and debuffs, N for resistances, and warrior statistics and alternate weapons with M. Buff debuff duration. When a warrior uses a skill or a spell that has a duration of 1 turn or more, it will apply a buff, beneficial effect, or a debuff, detrimental effect. on the target. The duration of these buffs debuffs is based on the skill user's turns and not the target's turns. Should the skill user move up or down in the initiative ladder, it will reduce or extend the duration of applied buffs debuffs. If the skill user is put out of action, the buffs debuffs will persist until the moment they would have taken their turn. Okay, so I'm not really sure why. I'm assuming that the Skaven had an action before us and the game just displayed it a little bit strange. What I wanted to do was go onto the map at that moment and take a look. So we can't really see that much. I'm not sure if we can zoom into the building, I'm assuming. Or is this not a building? Okay, we're inside of it. So let's press B, so we've got no buffs. N is resistances, so it looks like there are a lot of different kinds, and we've got alternate weapons, and M is quick stats. So we have some sort of debuff apparently, although I don't really know what kind of, but we will figure that out eventually. And we will dodge. Next up is the action wheel. In order to display more information on the skills, spells and actions available to your warrior, you can open the action wheel by pushing space. A more in-depth description will be available for each action you select, and these actions can be triggered directly from the wheel if you have a target in range. Yes, the actions are categorized into sections: actions, active skills, passive skills, spells, stances, and a backpack. So, skills. As they evolve, warriors will be able to train skills which can be used in different situations during combat. Skills are split into two categories: passive, which are always in effect, and active, which require a specific target and must be triggered at a cost of strategy or offense points. Based on the warrior's remaining OP and SP, only the usable skills will be available in cycling menu. Okay, so let's press space. So we've got perception, which we can perform while engaged. We can switch our weapon. We can attack. We can charge. We can flee. Okay, so here we have the stances. Okay, so active skills is combat focus. Does it... Okay, it costs 1 OP. Increases the chance to hit of the next melee attack or attack skill by 20%, valid for only the next action. Then we've got passive skills. Unsettling charge. After a successful charge attack, the target's parry or dodge stance is broken. So that's pretty good. We've got a spell, which is blocked in this tutorial. And then we've got the stances, which we can only use delay. And backpack is empty. So let's try out this active skill on ourselves to increase our hit chance. And then we will attack. And we're getting counterattack. No, we don't want to use combat focus. Apparently, I'm assuming the next attack would cost 3. Yeah, I don't have enough points. It's not showing how much it would cost, but I'm assuming it would be 3. So let's do combat focus. Does that carry over to the next turn? I'm not sure. So we will find out. And after that we use the lodge stand. Turn start. Some warriors have perks, skills, or suffer from ill effects or injuries that trigger automatically at the beginning of their turn. These will always be resolved before the warrior takes its turn and may affect if or how the warrior will play. Okay, so there's a red ogre who has to do a stupidity check apparently. Okay, and he failed. Okay, so impressive warriors. Each warband eventually gains access to an impressive warrior. These champions are extremely powerful but also have some restrictions. They focus exclusively on battle and therefore cannot surge. They will never retreat from a fight and cannot disengage or flee. Some of them cannot leap and can only climb or jump down from small heights due to their physiology. Large impressive warriors often cannot enter buildings either. Not all impressive warriors are large, for instance. The Maiden of Sigmar is regular size. Okay, so apparently this is our impressive warrior, I'm assuming. So what do we want to do here? Let's check. Do we have active skills? Staggering blow, which we can only use in close combat. So let's walk forward here. What can we do now? Sinful speech. What does sinful speech do? It prevents spellcasting. I'm assuming he won't spellcast. So let's charge. Okay, cool. So now we've got Staggering Blow. We could do Staggering Blow. A melee attack that deals regular damage. If hit, the target gains a debuff that reduces initiative by 10 for 1 turn. Okay, so we make him slower to react, which is not bad, I think. So let's do it. And he misses again. I'm assuming that most of the fights are somewhat scripted, so that we don't get completely destroyed in the tutorial because of bad chances. But it's still fun, so who cares? Okay, next is spells. Some warriors can use magic, be it arcane or divine. Spells cost a varying amount of action points and there is a chance the casting may fizzle and fail. The higher the cost in OP, the higher the chances of failing to cast the spell. Okay, so there's always a drawback to using spells, or there can be a drawback. Spell curses. When a spell is cast, there is a chance of a reaction occurring which can affect the caster and sometimes even friends and foes nearby. These reactions are mostly harmful but can also be beneficial. The reactions are known as Tzeentch Curse for arcane spells and Divine Wrath for divine spells. Every time a spell is cast, the caster also suffers from Mordheim's Curse. From the Mordheim's Curse debuff, which increases the chances of suffering a curse until the next turn. Don't rip my head off because of my pronunciation. If I remember it correctly, it is Tzeentch, which is of course one of the Chaos Gods. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know. But I think I'm right on this one. And apparently the Mordheim's Curse debuff is also visible on the buff debuff panel. Okay, so we are here and now we are apparently able to use the Comet of Sigmar got a range of 15 meters, casting chance minus 15%, okay. And it bypasses armor absorption, and it costs 2 OP. So let's try it. Okay, that looked cool. And we've got a debuff, which apparently isn't good. So it looks like we suffered the drawback here. And we're getting pretty beaten up. Next is points of interest. Many points of interest can be found in the ruins of Mordheim, represented by a pale swirl. Warriors can interact with them at no cost by pressing left mouse when standing on the swirl to loot the items they hold. Interacting with a point of interest or a word stone will commit the warrior's movement. Enemies cards can also be looted. Enemies card, whatever. So, can your card? Warriors who have fallen out of action will become points of interest as well. Fallen enemies can be looted for their equipment, but be mindful not to lose your own. Okay, so let's try that. We can scavenge. And we scavenge a lot of stuff. Ah, okay, so we have to decide what we actually want to take, so let's do that. And then exit. And I think after that we will just charge. And we will parry. Consumable items. Consumables are items which with varying effects that can be used only once. They have no requirements to use and can complement your strategy in combat, opening the way for new unforeseen effects. Beneficial consumables can also be used on allies if you stand very close to them. Some consumables have an area of effect and will affect everyone, friend or foe, who stands in or enters the zone. Okay, so we can use an oil bomb here. It's located in the backpack, so we've got a healing draught and the oil bomb, and we want to use the oil bomb, and it's got an area of effect, and we will throw it down there. Camera angle is not ideal. Okay, so it did 6 damage, and I'm assuming that it will continue to burn down there. So let's use perception here, just to try it out once more. So now the Skaven is marked, and I think we will stand up here because it's a pretty steep jump, and the chance of failing is pretty high. So let's parry. Okay, so my assumption was correct. He did take additional damage because of the burn. And then he ran away and is doing something I can't see. Ah, he climbed up here. Okay, and he managed to climb up here. And it looks like he's still burning, so I'm assuming that he's got a debuff that will continue to inflict damage. Action information panel. Actions that the active warrior can perform will often be modified by a wide range of skills, buffs or debuffs affecting you or the selected target. To display more information about what is affecting the selected action, press left control. Changing the active action will update the action information panel. Information in white is based on your own modifiers, and those in red are modifiers originating from the selected target. This panel can be displayed or hidden at will during your turn. Okay, so let's press it, and we've got an 80% base chance plus 12% per thanks to our weapon skill, and we lose because of bad agility, weapon skill again, I don't know why, and our shield. Okay. And also the modifiers on the damage are displayed. So let's just attack, and we miss. And let's attack again, and we miss again. So we will parry. And we managed to parry for the first time, actually. So now we are able to counterattack because it costs one less. Okay, cool. It's nice to see that work for once, and we dodged here. Okay, next is the combat log. Every action performed or suffered by warriors is kept in the combat log, accessible by pushing L. Pushing this key a second time will expand the window further, while pushing it a third time will close it. Okay, so I'm assuming we can see what has happened. And let's just leave it like that so we have a better overview. Okay. Why can't I move the mouse? The combat... Okay, so apparently the combat log was... Okay, so if it's big, we can scroll in it and can't move our characters. Warriors or whatever. So... let's just attack him. So, roll melee hit chance fail, 89, target 79. Okay, so we rolled higher than we were allowed to. And let's do that again, and this time it worked. And we will dodge. And that's the tutorial. So let's continue practicing for a bit, as we have done so with the other tutorials as well. So we've got debuffs. Let's use combat focus because apparently it did not carry over into the new turn. So I want to try that again. So now we should see it in the buff. Okay, yes, we do. So we've got combat focus there, and now he will attack. But he dodged. And apparently we've also got some debuffs. We do less damage because we are dual wielding. And... okay, tiring is an effect because... and I didn't want to do that. But that's what happens when you don't pay attention. But not a big deal. So I think tired meant that our next attack costs 1 OP more. But let's try to take down this red ogre. I did use the staggering blow again to keep his initiative down. What other weapons does she have? Okay, that looks cool as well. Let's just try it. And we will use a dodge stance. Okay, so we had some sort of debuff, weeping poison, apparently, which is dealing damage to us. Sigma's might was the increases melee critical hit chance by 5 and melee damage by 10%. Do we want to do that? I'm not sure. We've got the comet again, or we could attack. You know what? Let's just try. And we missed. So, okay, it was probably not the best idea, but lesson learned. And I'm assuming that we are getting killed here. Maybe not. But the poison might kill us in the next turn. Okay, so let's cycle through those again and take a look. So we've got different stats, buffs, debuffs, and here we will just attack. Is there anything different we could be doing? Apparently not, so we only have that one attack, so let's parry. And now we get hit by the Red Ogre, who apparently this time failed his, succeeded his roll. But is really bad at hitting us. And here we will attack as well. Okay, so he's still taking burn damage, which is nice.
A new round has started.
Okay, so let's try to finish him. Doesn't really work. Okay, so I think we can stop here. It's we have finished the tutorial and it's just dragging it out now. I have understood the new information that was given here. So let's just quit the tutorial and move on. Okay, so far I am really liking the tutorials. They cover a lot of information and give you a good start into the game, I think. So we have now finished 3 of the 4 combat tutorials. So next up will be the scenario tactics, and after that we will move on to hideout management. So this will be it once again. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see me do more Mordheim, leave a like and a comment, and if you want to see or hear more of me, just subscribe to my channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you tune in next time. Bye!